Hello everybody, BreadPudding official here right now, and I'm bringing to everybody my SDA draft analysis. So, I'm doing this draft analysis a little bit different because I want to make my content more educational in a way, because people may disagree with this concept, but Pokemon is a pretty educational game. And I think there's a ton of creators right now, I'm not going to say any names right now, but in kind of short story, I think as a draft community, we're growing, but I think we could do even more. Yeah, so I think I want to start doing some educational stuff. So like how I team build, what I think during a game, just not like staring at a screen and being like, hey, I'm making this move because I think it's good. I want to explain why am I actually making these moves. So I definitely do want to make my content more educational. So I'm starting with this video as my first kind of step on how to make things more educational. So yeah, this is my SDA draft analysis. This is my first upload required league. So I kind of want to make this a good experience for just people that are new to the draft community. And I just kind of want to welcome them. So let's get started, and before I actually step into my actual draft analysis, I want to step into how do I actually draft a team? How does BreadPudding official draft a team? So I just want to start off by saying that everybody drafts a team differently. Everybody knows that they require different kind of pieces in order to make a draft good. So my pieces might be completely different than somebody that's like a veteran of the draft community. That's because that's how I value my pieces, and if I don't have a certain piece, I could work around it. So that's how I want to start off by. And basically, before I actually get into how I draft a team, I want to kind of explain these rules, just of SDA in general. So the draft was split into two divisions, which is a Scarlet and a Violet division. We were in the Scarlet division. And basically what that means is like, let's say I pick something like a Tinglu, or like a very common mod. There's a huge chance that like I could face somebody in the Violet division, because as the second rule says, this league will be cross division. I could fight somebody from the Violet division that has a Tinglu. So there's gonna be some instances where I have the same mon as my opponent. But usually in drafts, you mainly encounter, you're the only person that has your mon. But since the Scarlet and Violet decks are very limited, the games will be cross division. This is a snake draft, so people don't know what a snake draft is. Basically, let's say I am the last pick. And yeah, let's say that I'm the last pick out of 8 people. So first person picks, second person picks, up to the 8th person. Then let's say I'm the 8th person, and then I pick my first pick. Since it snakes around, if that makes sense to people, I get to pick my second pick first. And then it goes on, I wait until I don't get to pick for another 16, 15 picks, and it comes back to me. Then I get to pick another mon, then I also get to do the first pick of round 4, if it makes sense, and so on, so on, so on. But yeah, we get to draft 9 to 11 mons, 110 point limit, and 17 points is the maximum amount of points, 1 point is the minimum amount of points. And then we have up to 3 Terra Captains with a 25 point free limit, and these is free Terra, so that means, let's say I make something like a Jolteon on my Terra Captain. It could Terra into any type, it's not limited to just like one type. And then the mons that are between 14 and 17 points, which is stuff like your Dragapults, stuff like your Chiyus, your Chia Pals, those cannot be Terra Captains. So 13 points or below could be your Terra Captains. And standard Smogon claws, like Sleep Claws, Species Claws. If people don't know what those are, you could just look up online standard Smogon clauses, because I want to make this video as short as possible. And then there's no item clause, which means that if I really wanted to, I could run 6 leftovers. So yeah, and 60-minute timer. So I'm assuming everybody knows this because it's kind of a huge thing. that the 60-minute timer is back, so we will be playing that with our matches. It is optional, but like I'm assuming most people would do a 60-minute timer. Okay, so next, this is where I'm gonna first get into what I draft. So before I actually get to my actual picks, I wanna just highlight the things that I need regarding my typings. So again, everybody values things differently, and I expect some people to disagree with where I put some of these typings on my list. So the typings I need is water, grass, electric, ground, flying, steel, dragon, and fairy. So these are the types that, like, if I don't draft any of these typings, my draft is not gonna be good. My draft is gonna fall apart, and it's just not gonna be good at all. Because these are the typings I work best with. Like, if I don't have these typings, I might just like drop out of the league, in my opinion. Then my wants are the normal, fire, poison, fighting, psychic, dark, and ghost. So basically, my wants, I value these typings, but I don't value them as much as my needs. So pretty much what happens is, you kind of see this when I do my draft, that I get most of these typings last. These are my bottom tier typings. Like, I don't prioritize them. I mainly leave them for lower tiers, but one exception is fire types. I don't put this in fire types in needs, but with a fire typing, let's say that I want a fire type. I really rarely go for like a low tier fire type. No offense to anybody that gets them, but I would prefer not to have a fire type rather than having a low tier fire type like a Charizard or Flareon. Because I know some people like those mons a lot, but I just don't really work well with them. Like, I'd rather just use my points and get something else. And usually my wants, if I don't get one of them, I usually only don't get about one of them. But most of the time, I usually get all of them. But there's sometimes, of course, when I don't get them all of them. But not necessary is like, or ice, rock, and bug types, which means I could care less if I get them or not. Like, I don't need them at all. Like, they're completely irrelevant in my eyes. And next part is the cores, and with these cores, there's multiple cores. I only listed like the 3 cores I really care about. It's just a fire, water, grass core, dragon, fairy, steel core, and dark psychic light core. And with these, I try to get at least 2 of them, and if not all 3 of them, because I think they're just really good cores to have, because they cover each other's weaknesses. But again, everybody's lists are different, but this is just my list. So I would like to hear in the comments what your list is, and if you disagree with any of my typing, like needs, wants, and non-necessaries, because I'll give you an example. I have this friend in another league. He puts his bug typing in his needs list, and he puts something like, let's say, like a ghost typing, which I put in my want and is not necessaries. So everybody has their list different. I'd love to hear in the comments where you stand on your list. So, for me at least, these are the necessary tools I need. Like, I don't need them, but I'd love to have them to make a very successful team. I'm not going to read through all of these because I just think these are pretty self-explanatory, but some of the things I want to go through is the 1 to 2 defog / hazard removal options. This includes stuff like magic bounce and just stuff like that. The cleric, it involves stuff like healing wish, heal bell, wish, stuff like that. I know heal bell and just like status, just like moves that remove status, like thunder wave, like paralysis, burn, poison. Those are the only cleric in this game is Blissey for like heal bell stuff. I don't think it's even released yet, but that's what I mean by cleric. And then phaser, that means stuff like dragon tail, roar, whirlwind, stuff like that. And then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to pause through this and just look at it, you can, but this is mainly what what tools I want when I draft a team. My speed tiers. This is very interesting because a lot of people value speed tiers differently. For me, I value my speed tiers a ton. Like, I need good speed tiers in order to have a good team. Well, I know others that are like, okay, I could function with a team that is extremely slow or extremely fast. But for me at least, I need a team that is extremely balanced in their speed tiers. So this is where it comes in. So I like to separate my speed tiers by 20 base speed or less. So what I mean is, like, let's say that I have a base 100 speed tier on. I want no more than a 20 speed tier gap. So I don't want, I would like a 80 base tier mod. I wouldn't mind something like 100 going down to that 70 base tier speed stat. So yeah, and just a highlight to some of the things for my speed tiers is I like to have at least 1 or 2 mons above that 100 speed tier, and I want my slowest mons to be below the 60 base speed tier, because even though Trickum is not that common in Draft League, it still is semi-common, and I still want to have options for those. Everything else in the speed tiers are just kind of like fillers, so I don't really lose to any teams. And if people are wondering, the reason why I like 20 base speed tiers or less is because it forces certain natures. So I'm pretty sure it's like 15 or something around that gap. Like, let's say that you have a Volcarona. Let's say that you have a Volcarona and then you're facing Iron Moth. Iron Moth cannot run a modest nature against Volcarona as timid, because if an Iron Moth runs modest, it's not gonna speed a max speed timid Volcarona. So that's why I like having a 20 base speed or less, because let's say I go from like 110 to like 90, if that makes sense. That like having that like just like 20 base speed tier, like let's say like 110 to like 80, that they could afford, that certain mons like let's say somebody has a Flamigo, they could afford to run Adamant because I don't have enough speed to do it, and then that's just gonna have extra power. So that's why I like to have that 20 base speed tier or base separate speed tier by 20 base speed or less, because it just kind of help balance those things, in my opinion. Pick format. This is very, very interesting, and I want to emphasize this a ton. I don't expect everybody/anybody to kind of follow this format. I expect let me rephrase that. I expect some people to, but there's a lot of people that value like picks different than me. So to kind of summarize this, is my first pick, core mod. What I mean by that is, what is the mod I want to build around? This is most likely gonna be my first pick. The mod that I think I want to build around, the mod that I value for my team the most, that's gonna be my first pick. It might be a high tier mod if I'm feeling a little bit interesting. It might be a low tier mod, but most of the time for me, my first pick is always gonna be the mod I'm gonna build around. Second pick is gonna be my best pairing / best mod on the board. So best pairing is like, let's say I draft like a Walking Wake. Let's say I draft Walking Wake. I'm gonna get Torkoal because it's the best pairing for that. But let's say I see Walking Wake, but I see Chiyu. I'm gonna kind of hope that the Torkoal is still there, and I'm gonna have a Chiyu. So depending on the scenario, I either have the best pairing or the best mod on the board. And my third and fourth picks, they go hand in hand. I basically get these two mods to support my mod 1 and 2. So these are kind of, I wouldn't say very exact my glue pieces, but they're definitely a good support for my mod 1 and 2. Like they could be like a hazard setter, they could be a defogger, they could do that. But so my first two mods have not a ton of defensive / offensive pressure going against them. I always like to get my third and fourth pick to ensure that they are not gonna really suffer that much. And then my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th pick, both these are gonna be my glue mods. What I mean by that is what you've learned from earlier, is like, these are gonna be the mods that are gonna like help with my speed tiers, help with my typings, help with my tools. And basically, these are gonna be kind of the mods that kind of help support my first 4 mods without supporting them. They're like standalone mods, but they could also glue the teams together, if that makes sense. So that might be stuff like I'm gonna get a couple of stealth rockers, I'm gonna get a defogger, I'm gonna get a bragging type, I'm gonna get a fairy type, I'm gonna get a water type, stuff like that. Just stuff to kind of like hold my team together. My 9th pick is either gonna be another Gluemon or a high tier steel. What I mean by that is like it's either gonna be, let's say I just need another Gluemon, I will get another Gluemon. But like let's say I see a high tier mon and I have a point for it, I will get that high tier mon this round because that I value that mon more than my last 2 picks if I do get them. And then 10th and 11th, if I'm completely honest, I'm gonna be completely honest right now. If I have the option to go from 9 to 11 mons, I do really dislike to go for 11 mons, or even 10 to 11 mons. The reason is because I think you could get better value by getting 9 mons than getting 10 or 11 mons. But sometimes it is necessary. I do agree that sometimes that like, let's say that you have like a lot of like mons with like 1 typing. Yeah, you are probably have to give those 10 and 11 mons, but most of the time I kind of do dislike it. But yeah, that's kind of how I draft a team. And just feel free to leave a comment if you agree or disagree with my methods. Like, I know we're different than a lot of people, but I did want to kind of like educate people in a way on how I actually draft a team. I know a lot of people value different things from me, and I really want to hear my comments of like just how I actually draft a team.